Picture a country where you can be killed for simply watching a foreign movie. A place where the leader's personal life is so bizarre and extravagant that it could easily be mistaken for a movie script. This is North Korea, a land where millions of people starve while their leader lives like a king, flying on private jets, driving luxury cars, and surrounding himself with a secret army of beautiful women. Welcome to the most closed-off country on earth, where 25 million citizens live like prisoners in their own nation, cut off entirely from the outside world. What shocking secrets hide behind the walls of this mysterious kingdom? And what is the real story of how the leaders live while their people suffer? North Korea is ruled by one of the world's most extreme dictators, a man whose private life would leave anyone stunned. If you want to know what really happens inside the world's most secretive nation, stay with us until the end. This journey will reveal things that will truly blow your mind. Let's begin by exploring this strange country before diving into the insane world of its rulers. 1. The prison country. North Korea lies in East Asia, occupying the northern half of the Korean peninsula. Covering about 120,000 square kilometers, it is roughly the size of England. Around 25 million people live here, yet they might as well be living on another planet because of how completely cut off they are from the rest of the world. The country shares borders with China to the north, Russia to the northeast, and South Korea to the south. Between North and South Korea runs one of the most dangerous borders on Earth, the DMZ. This heavily fortified line bristles with soldiers, landmines, and weapons pointed at each other 24 hours a day. Almost everyone in North Korea speaks Korean, and the government forces its people to follow a twisted version of communism. But calling it communism is misleading. It is in reality a hereditary monarchy where one family has ruled for more than 70 years, like kings and queens. Though the nation has coal and iron deposits, its isolation and mismanagement prevent it from building a strong economy. Instead of investing in progress, the regime spends enormous sums on weapons and on keeping the ruling family in luxury. Despite its weak economy, North Korea's location makes it geopolitically significant. Positioned between China and U.S. allies like South Korea and Japan, it remains a flashpoint for global tensions. One wrong move here could spark a devastating war. 2. From war zone to nightmare state. Few people realize that North Korea was once simply the northern part of a unified Korea. After World War II, the Soviet Union occupied the north while the United States controlled the south. This division was supposed to be temporary, but it became permanent when the two powers failed to agree on reunification. In 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea, triggering a brutal war that killed millions. The conflict ended in 1953, but only with a ceasefire, not a peace treaty, meaning the two Koreas are technically still at war today. After the fighting stopped, Kim Il-sung rose to absolute power in North Korea. He wasn't content with being a regular leader. He wanted to be worshipped like a god. Kim Il-sung built a system where his family would rule forever, cementing the dynasty that still holds power today. Everyone else would be their slaves. When Kim Il-sung died in 1994, his son Kim Jong-il took over. Kim Jong-il was completely insane and lived one of the most ridiculous lifestyles in human history. When he died in 2011, his son Kim Jong-un became the new dictator. He turned out to be just as crazy as his father and grandfather. This family has transformed North Korea into their personal playground while keeping the entire population locked up and starving. They have built one of the most evil government systems in the modern world. The insane life of Kim Jong-il. Kim Jong-il, who ruled North Korea from 1994 to 2011, lived like no dictator in history. While his people were literally eating grass to survive, this maniac was drowning in unimaginable luxury with some of the most twisted personal habits ever recorded. He was obsessed with movies and owned a personal collection of more than 20,000 DVDs and films. But here's the shocking part. He actually kidnapped a famous South Korean director and his actress wife in the 1970s, forcing them to make movies for him for 8 years. They were kept as his personal prisoners, creating films purely for his entertainment. Even more disturbing was Kim Jong-il's so-called pleasure squad, a secret group of about 2,000 young women chosen to entertain him and his friends. Many were teenagers, forced to serve as dancers, singers, or worse, sex slaves for the ruling elite. Kim Jong-il had multiple wives and mistresses, though most of these relationships were hidden. He fathered several children with different women, treating them as though they were his personal property. The women who bore his children were given luxury apartments and money, but they were forbidden to leave or speak about their relationships. Meanwhile, he spent millions on his personal luxuries while ordinary North Koreans starved. He owned dozens of palaces, a private bulletproof train, and even a private island where he hosted wild parties. He imported the most expensive food and drinks from across the globe, while his people were dying of hunger. Kim Jong-un's wild modern lifestyle is really something else. Kim Jong-un, the current leader, has carried on his family's tradition of living like an insane king while his people suffer. However, he has taken the madness to new levels, adopting a modern lifestyle that could make even a Hollywood celebrity jealous. Obsessed with luxury, Kim Jong-un spends staggering amounts of money on personal pleasures. He owns multiple private jets, luxury yachts, and a fleet of extravagant cars, including Ferraris, Mercedes, and armored limousines. This is in a country where most citizens have never even seen a car up close. Like his father, Kim Jong-un also maintains a pleasure squad of young women, selected from across the country for their looks. Many are teenagers when they are taken, disappearing from their families forever to serve in the leader's palaces. Married to a woman named Solju since 2009, Kim Jong-un also keeps multiple mistresses in secret relationships. His wife rarely appears in public, and when she does, she is always perfectly dressed and smiling. But people who have escaped North Korea say she is basically a prisoner too. The most shocking part is that Kim Jong-un throws massive parties at his palaces with imported alcohol, exotic foods, and lavish entertainment. While his people are so hungry they eat tree bark. He has chefs flown in from around the world to prepare special meals, while ordinary North Koreans survive on a few spoonfuls of rice, if they are lucky. Intelligence reports suggest that Kim Jong-un spends over $300 million per year just on personal luxury items, while the average North Korean makes less than $2 per day. Life for ordinary people in North Korea is, honestly, just heartbreaking. While the Kim family lives like kings, ordinary North Koreans endure conditions that are hard to believe in the 21st century. Most live in small, freezing apartments with no heating, limited electricity, and often no running water. The average North Korean is about 2 inches shorter than South Koreans due to poor nutrition and constant hunger. Many people have never had enough food in their entire lives. A typical meal might be a small bowl of rice with some vegetables. Meat is so rare that most families eat it only a few times per year. North Koreans cannot travel freely within their own country. They need special permission just to move from one city to another, and leaving the country is impossible. Attempting to escape is punished by death or by sending the entire family to prison camps. There is no internet for regular people. No foreign TV shows, no foreign music, and no foreign books. Everything is strictly controlled by the government. People can face serious punishment just for listening to South Korean pop music or watching foreign movies. Everyone must work where the government assigns them, live where they are told, and think what they are told to think. Children are raised from birth to believe their leader is like a god, and that the outside world is evil and dangerous. The saddest part is that most North Koreans have no idea how terrible their lives are compared to the rest of the world. They have been brainwashed since birth into believing this is normal. The secret police state in North Korea is, well, honestly terrifying. North Korea operates one of the most brutal surveillance systems in human history. The country has multiple secret police organizations that spy on citizens 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Every neighborhood has informants whose job is to report on their neighbors. These spies listen for criticism of the government, mentions of the outside world, or any behavior that seems suspicious. Even children are encouraged to spy on their own parents and report them to authorities. The country runs a network of prison camps called Kwanliso, where hundreds of thousands of people are held as political prisoners. These camps are so horrific that they make Nazi concentration camps look mild. Prisoners are worked to death, tortured, or executed for the smallest infractions. What makes these camps especially cruel is the practice of guilt by association. If one person commits a crime like trying to escape or criticizing the government, their parents, children, and grandchildren are also sent to prison camps. Entire families vanish forever because one member made a mistake. Former prisoners who escaped describe horrific conditions, people eating rats and insects to survive, public executions for stealing food, and guards who treat prisoners worse than animals. Many are born in these camps and die there, never once seeing the outside world. The government also uses public executions to instill fear. Citizens are forced to watch as people are shot or hanged for crimes such as watching foreign movies, attempting escape, or even stealing food. North Korea's economy is essentially a facade. The government claims everything is prosperous, but in reality, the country is one of the poorest on earth. Most factories don't function because there is no electricity or raw materials. Workers show up to empty buildings and pretend to work, since not showing up would get them punished. Many factories haven't produced anything in years, yet workers are still required to be there daily. The government distributes ration cards that are supposed to provide food, but the portions are so small that people would starve if that was all they had. Most families must find illegal ways to survive, such as growing vegetables in secret or trading on the black market. Buying things on black markets has become a way of life in North Korea. The country has its own currency, the won, but it is practically worthless. People prefer to trade using Chinese yuan, American dollars, or even by bartering goods directly. The government has wrecked the economy so badly that its own money has become a joke. Most North Koreans survive by breaking the law. They secretly grow food, sell items on black markets, or cross the border into China to bring back goods. The authorities know this happens, but turn a blind eye, because if they crack down, the population would starve. The only people who have real wealth are government officials and those tied to the ruling family. These elites live in comfortable apartments in Pyongyang, the capital, while the rest of the country suffers in poverty. While ordinary North Koreans go hungry, the government pours enormous amounts of money into building nuclear weapons and missiles. This reveals how twisted their priorities are. North Korea has been developing nuclear weapons since the 1960s and now possesses enough material to make dozens of bombs. They also have missiles capable of striking Japan, South Korea, and even the United States. The government claims these weapons are necessary to defend the nation from invasion, but the truth is, they are meant to secure the Kim family's grip on power. By threatening other countries, the regime forces them to provide money and food. Billions of dollars that could have gone to feeding people, building hospitals, or improving schools are instead wasted on bombs, while children starve in the streets. This obsession also deepens North Korea's isolation. Other nations impose heavy sanctions to punish the regime, but these measures often make life even harder for ordinary citizens. Meanwhile, the ruling elite continue to live in luxury. Nuclear tests have even poisoned parts of the country itself. Areas near test sites show higher rates of cancer and birth defects, yet the government hides this information and presses on with testing. Escaping North Korea is one of the most dangerous acts a person can attempt. Those caught trying to flee are often shot, and their families face brutal punishment. Most escapees attempt to cross into China, but the border is heavily guarded with electric fences, landmines, and armed soldiers who shoot on sight. Many die in the attempt. Even those who make it to China are not safe. Beijing has an agreement with Pyongyang to send escapees back, which almost always means imprisonment or execution. Refugees must hide and find ways to reach South Korea or another country willing to protect them. This journey can take years and cost thousands of dollars. Many are forced to work as slaves in China or rely on underground networks of missionaries and human rights activists who risk their own lives to help. Women face even greater dangers. Many are trafficked, sold as wives to Chinese men, or forced into prostitution. Some endure years of abuse before they can continue their journey. The few who successfully make it to South Korea or another free nation often struggle with deep trauma. They face culture shock, depression, and survivor's guilt, haunted by the families they left behind. The international community has tried many different strategies to deal with North Korea, but honestly, dealing with North Korea has proven nearly impossible, and so far nothing has worked. Economic sanctions hurt ordinary people far more than the government. Military threats only push North Korea to build more weapons. China remains North Korea's main ally and trading partner, but even China is growing weary of its behavior. Without Chinese support, the North Korean government would likely collapse within months. South Korea hopes for reunification with the North, but it would be incredibly costly and difficult. After more than 70 years of separation, the two countries have become completely different societies. The United States and other nations have tried negotiations, yet North Korea always breaks its promises. The Kim family has no intention of giving up power or reforming their system. The tragic reality is that millions of North Koreans will probably continue suffering until the regime collapses from within. This could happen if people become so desperate that they revolt, if the military turns against the Kim family, or if economic problems grow so severe that the system breaks down. Some experts believe change might come from younger North Koreans, who are more willing to take risks and challenge authority. Information from the outside world is slowly seeping in through smuggled USB drives, radio broadcasts, and defectors who return with stories. But change also carries great danger. If the North Korean government were to collapse suddenly, it could trigger chaos, a massive refugee crisis, and even nuclear accidents. The country possesses nuclear and chemical weapons that could fall into the wrong hands. North Korea is one of humanity's greatest failures. In the 21st century, an entire nation of 25 million people is held hostage by a small group of ruthless leaders who care only about power and pleasure. The Kim family has built a system so brutal and so effective at control that it has lasted for 3 generations. They have turned an entire country into their personal prison and playground. While Kim Jong-un enjoys luxury yachts, gourmet food, and private pleasure squads, millions of his people go to bed hungry every night. While he builds nuclear weapons to threaten the world, children in his country die from diseases that could be cured with simple medicine. The most heartbreaking truth is that the North Korean people are no different from people anywhere else. They love their families, want better lives for their children, and dream of freedom. Yet they are trapped by geography, history, and a government that treats them as property. North Korea shows us what happens when power becomes completely corrupt and when the world fails to protect innocent people from tyrannical regimes. It is a reminder that freedom and human rights are precious and never guaranteed. The haunting question remains, how long will the world allow this nightmare to continue? And what will it take to finally free the North Korean people from their prison nation? Until that day arrives, 25 million people will go on living in darkness while their leaders revel in luxury. Their story stands as a challenge to all of us who live in freedom. Never forget those who cannot. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.